All right, we are starting the broadcast for the Full Moon Session for Wednesday, June 27th, which is pretty exciting. Hello, Albina.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine. Hi, Teresa.
Teresa's not responding.
Oh, my God.
So until she actually shows up, she's not. All right. Oh, look, it's Zila.
Sorry.
No problem.
Hi, Zila.
Hi.
Would anyone like to help with facilitation or policy keeping? No? Okay. Anyone want to help with note taking? Timekeeping?
I will.
Okay.
Task responsibility master?
I also.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go to our check-ins. Who would like to start? Albina?
I will. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like 6. Sorry, I just slept off during the Cobalt session. That's why I never turned up. But I'm okay for the session now. And I've been working on sponsorship program and payroll.
Hello, good
Weekly
morning
check-in
or good
and
afternoon.
tabulation.
Great. Teresa, do you want to check in?
Yes, good morning, or for me it's good morning, for you, I don't know. So for me it's 6.
And you want to say what you've been working on? Because primarily...
Are you talking to me, Jay?
Yeah, if you want to say what you've been working on.
At the moment, as you know, I'm not working, so I don't know if...
Well, you've been working on your main buddy team doc.
Yeah, yes.
And your goal is to get back in the budget, which is why you're here, is to talk about the budget.
Yes, yes.
Cool,
Sure.
awesome. All right, let's go to Zilu.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm in 5.5. Looking forward of this session. Was going with the global with certain results, and I'm working with the taxes now for the IU of 2017.
Cool. And I guess I'll go ahead and check in. Probably like a 6 as well, maybe 6.3. I was at the Cobalt session this afternoon. It went well. Maybe that's why Lucy's not here. Lucy and Albina switched off. And I am I've been working on a lot of things, everything from the budget to the payroll to bills and the legal systems and the client work and on and on and on and on, so much. It is nighttime here, so I'm at a 1.5x. And that's it for me. All right, right, anyone else? Oh, look, Wahoo made it. So Wahoo, it's your turn to check in.
Hello.
Hi, would you like to check in? Wahoo, your number. Hi. What's your number again? Can you say again? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
I would say 7.5.
Yeah,
Great. So Wahoo, do you want to check in and say how you're doing?
7.5.
Okay, but you can tell us a little bit about how you're doing and what you've been working on, and you could introduce yourself. I think there's some new people that haven't met you before, but this is at our main sessions we do full check-ins, right? So you can actually say how you're doing, where you're from, as well as what you've been working on.
Okay, I am Irene Wahunganga from Kenya. I've been working on the document requested from us. That is communication document.
Cool. Yeah, the communication doc, exactly. Great. Okay, let's see if we can help Marcel and Farah get on here. All right. What is next? So we'll let Marcel check in when he gets on. So we've got Zilu, Albina, myself, Teresa, and Wahoo here, which is good. And maybe we'll have Marcel. All right. So now we're going to go to attendance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so our attendance looks good. Let's check in on our group as well. We can add a few people here. And if anyone wants to try to help Marcel, that would be good. So we're going to remove Asif because he's not here. Steve O is also not here. I'm going to leave Lucy because she's co-chair. It doesn't direct me because I'm using phone. Huh. Does someone want to try to help out Marcel?
Is it the doc you're using for the full moon or the Hangout doc?
No, I'm going to.
What?
He's requesting for the doc.
It's the main Hangout link.
Okay.
Okay. So hopefully that works out. Let's move on. What's next here is evaluations and prioritization spreadsheet. So I think it would be good to go through this a little bit. Also, we want to remind everyone to do their global weekly communications check-ins. So let's do 5 to 10 minutes on our weekly check-ins and our evaluations and prioritization. And so usually this time is silent, it's pretty quiet, but if you have a question, that's fine. You can ask the question.
Sorry, Jay, which is the name of the document? Evaluation.
Our doc right now, we are in the full moon doc, and in the evaluation section, it has the link to the prioritization spreadsheet. So if you can see my screen.
It is up before the result come.
Okay.
And if someone can help get our team prioritization set up, that would be excellent. We have some new topics that we want to add, including Wahoo's proposal. So let's see if we can get that all done. And there seems to be oh, I see. That's 5 degrees. So we're at internal. We're just doing internal setup. So we can just ignore the rest of it and just focus on the internal setup.
Okay.
Cool. And then we want to add the arbitration and worker contract. So I'm not sure exactly what he did. He says on the phone. We could try him on the conference call. Where is Marcel again? He's in Australia, right?
I think so.
Yes.
So I think we do have the conference call in number. So if someone wants to help him do the conference call in number, that might help. I don't know. Does anyone here know how to do the conference call?
Let me check on
Conference Australia, she's from?
I think she's from Australia.
I'm going to give her the.
Yeah, Australia is the first call in number.
Mm-hmm.
This service is provided in high definition by free conference. Access code accepted. You are the only participant in the conference. To start conference recording, press 1. To return to the conference, press star.
Send out the dialer and the
Conference recording,
number
press
to
1.
participate.
To return to the recording has started.
Any luck for Marcel?
I gave her the Hangout link also, but she's asking for some invitation with Hangout. I don't understand what she's looking for actually. She's on mobile.
I don't know how to invite someone to the Hangout. They just have to be able to do it. I don't know.
You only can by her email ID.
Yeah, email. Through email. Yes.
I see on the weekly check-in sheet is only filled up by Jay, no one else new.
Okay,
Marissa, are you going to fill up the form?
Yes, I'm doing this now.
Wahoo, did you fill the global core team prioritization? I think.
Pardon?
Do you have our doc today we are using today?
No.
Let me send on the check on the Hangout.
Also, Wahoo, you need to fill out the form of global weekly check-in.
Weekly communication, that is.
No. Yeah, weekly communication, but on what you've been working on. On what you've been working on. Okay, just open the doc I sent, the Full Moon doc we are using today. I'll show you.
Okay.
Dookie. All right. So I think it's been 10 minutes. Who's the timekeeper? Zilu?
Yes.
How are we doing on time?
Sorry, I was missing that.
So we don't know where we're on time?
Yeah, it's already over.
Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. So I think we do have some priorities here. All right. So these would be our top 10. So I think the next topic, we're ready to go into our desired outcomes and topic review. If you want to still vote, you can. We can update this. So basically, bottom line is we have team building, of course, finalizing the budget. Not exactly desired outcome. It would be, updating this month's budget and starting next month's budget. So we're not really on the budget because the budget already got finalized. All right, so we're remember the full moon is the exact midpoint of the month, so we're in the middle of the month. Review for invoicing. This can be part of the budget, so we basically invoicing for our budgeting next month. Review weekly check-in. Didn't we kind of already do that? What do we want to do for weekly check-in? What's that?
To fill out the weekly check-in.
All right, well, we already did that. Is there something else, Ela?
Nothing.
Okay.
That is all.
Co-chair selection. That's important. Update the form. Not sure what that means. Preparation on the Earth session.
Update the form means the new people that we have.
Okay, well, that needs to be done before the co-chair form is sent out. Okay, are there any other desired outcomes?
For me, I'd like to know if it is possible to see what, because I submitted the budget for member the team.
So
and I'd like to know what are the...
This is main budget team budget proposal.
What can we do for coming to the budget again? For me and Eileen, I don't know if Eileen, I think she's out of the budget too.
Yeah, well, it's all three of you. It's you, Eileen, and Joyce. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's in our budget. It's op number 3 currently in our topic priorities.
Okay.
What about review on Wahoo Maricel for communication?
Yes, we want to review and vote on Wahoo, Maricel, and communications. Great. So, I mean, I would say the easiest place to do that would be here on option number 4, but we could probably just do that first. Like maybe we should just do Teresa's budget proposal and then do Wahoo's communications documentation. I would say we just start with those because they should go pretty quick. Any other desired outcomes or topics?
Is that fine?
You're fine on that.
All right, let's see if anything has changed over here on our voting. I'm not sure if anyone else voted. One thing we're missing over here is we're missing the goals and goals and priorities. So that's a problem. And we're also meeting team setup. So I'm not sure what happened to those or why they'd be missing. Okie dokie. So let's see if anything changes here on the top 10. I don't know. Obviously, Wahoo didn't vote, but everyone else voted. So let's go ahead and do one last time. It looks like pretty much the same to me. 5 is elections. Yeah, okay. So we'll just leave it the same. Anything else here? Budgeting, invoicing, check, worker coordination. Worker coordination. Are there any other topics anyone wants to suggest? Communications. So we can do worker communications here. Elections check, planetary sessions support. This would actually be a primary topic. All right. And then we have some other topics here as well. Any other topics? Are there any objections to our primary focus for the session, the desired outcomes, and our topics? Any objections? All right, sounds like we have agreement. So we would note here that we have agreement on topics and desired outcomes. So we're going to go ahead and start with these first two items, which are Teresa's budget proposal and then the communications document to get those out of the way. Right away. Okay. So before we do that, though, we're going to go back to our setup. We need to go over our schedule for the session. So the timekeepers at the bottom of the hour. The bottom of the hour, we do a 30-second stretch. So that's like right now. So whoever is the timekeeper, you want to remind us at the bottom of the hour to do the stretch. You want to practice, Zilu?
Okay, sure.
You want to practice?
Yes.
Okay. So what time is it right now?
Right now it's 10:30.
Okay. So what does that mean? What does the timekeeper do?
We have about 5 minutes for the next topics. 4:30.
Albina?
Okay, we are at the bottom of the hour, so we have to go for a 30-second stretching. Then we come back to start with the first topic.
Does that make sense, Zilu?
Yes.
So why aren't you doing it then? Are you the timekeeper, Zilu?
Yes, I am.
So
what
it's you got to remind us at the bottom of the hour to do our stretch break. So this is your role. So we're asking you to do it right now as a practice. Zilu?
Yeah, we have. Not sure what to say.
Albina, do you want to try again?
Albina, can you help?
Yeah. We are at the bottom of the first hour, so we need to have a 30-second stretching break before we come back for the first topic. So everyone is on a 30-second break.
Okay. Thank you.
So the timekeeper is supposed to remind us that it's the bottom of the hour.
Okay, got it. Got it now.
Okay, so Zilu?
Yes. So we are on the first topic and we are for the space of 30 seconds now.
Yeah, so everyone's going to stand up and stretch at the bottom of the hour. Get a drink of water. Maybe a little bouncing are good. All right, that's our 30-second stretch break at the bottom of the hour. Okay, so before we go on to the rest of the schedule, Marcel, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. Okay, so we'd like to check in and say hi. Just give us your name, where you're from, and if you've been working on anything.
Hello. Me?
Marcel, do you wanna introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello. I'm Maricel Lim. I'm from Australia. I am a housewife, and I have 2 kids. That's all.
Great. And then can you give a number between 0 and 9 of how you're doing today? Like just how you're feeling, and just do a number.
I'm 9. I'm very,
nine.
very fine.
You're very good. Okay, 9. All right, thank you. Okay, so now we're going back to our schedule. So the bottom of every hour, we do our 30-second break. At the top of the hour, we do a 5-minute break. And I think we can probably keep this under 2 hours. Let's do 1 more hour from now. Let's do 11:45. Rafa, can you do that, Zilu?
Yes, I can do.
So the goal is to start wrapping up at 11:45, and this is Australia time. And then from there, or Australia, it's Asia time, yeah. And then what is the next session? Do we have a Zuri dynamic session coming up?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's at 5?
5 p.m.
5.
5 o'clock p.m. So this would be a.m. So that would be about 5 hours later is the dynamic session. So lots of sessions going on today. Any other sessions coming up next week we should know about? The Earth session?
Our session is coming on the next week.
July 6th or something like that?
July, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our schedule. Any other questions about our schedule? Okay, so then we have proposals. So proposals basically are what we document for all of our proposals that we haven't approved yet or voted on. This is the old proposal doc. What? Say what?
Yeah, this doc was proposal doc. Someone changed with the name decision doc.
No, someone made a mistake and turned the proposals doc into a decisions doc, which is why we're calling it the decisions doc and not the proposal doc, and this is the old one. So whoever made this doc didn't use the current template. So we updated the template to have the new decisions doc because that is that have a new proposals doc. That was a decisions doc. If you look at that doc, it has all of the decisions that have been made in the core team. It's not a proposals. Those are actually votes on actual decisions. That makes sense, Sila?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the decisions doc documents all the proposals and the decisions that have already been made, whereas the proposals doc documents the proposals that have not been voted on. Right? So the way
it was for proposals, not decisions.
Yeah, that was 40 pages of decisions and voting. Right? This is not the decisions doc, this is the proposals doc, okay? Does that make sense, Stila?
Okay.
So here we're only going to list proposals that have not been voted on.
Yes. It makes sense.
Okay?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and take care of this real quick. Only list proposals that have not been voted on. All right. So we did go over some of these proposals, and it's all pretty much this here. Cool, so we have various proposals that need to be addressed. Okay, and I think that is everything else, except there's still missing the previous proposals. Let's see here. I asked Lucy to do this. You said she was going to do it, but obviously she did not. So previous old proposals. See it. All right. Well, I'll just add them manually. So here go the badges. There it is. It is there. We have the badges proposal and then the conflict evolution anti-bullying policy. All right. So those are the proposals that still need to be voted on. Even if we don't get to them in this session, we're still supposed to put them in the voting form. Okay. So so there's a couple things that need to be done here. Budgets, we have this in the Cobalt session doc. Wahoo's proposal, needs to be put on a Google Doc, a Google Doc text document. So that needs to be done. Steve's proposal, Tom, Mahidi, all good. Previous old proposals, okay. Badges needs a doc of its own. So if someone needs to create a badges doc, and actually put all the badges information from the previous meetings where we discussed it. And then here we just need to link the anti-bullying policy. Okay, so there's work that needs to be done here. If we can make sure that gets listed in the priority tasks, okay?
Yeah.
All right, any questions about the proposals doc and the proposals in general and how it works?
No.
Okay, cool. So again, someone needs to actually do the voting form after the session, and we would include all the proposals regardless of whether or not they were voted on during the session. Well, obviously we'll try to get to all of them. And the other ones, just so we know, are here are Wahoo's proposal, badges, and I think the anti-bullying policy is already here. It's like right here. We might get to that. All right.
Shall we move with the topics, first topics?
Yeah, we're ready to go to the first topic. Any other questions before we get started with the first topic, which is Teresa's budget proposal? All right, so let's do it. Do you want to link your proposal here, Teresa, or
for our main body team?
Yeah, I think I might have it here in the proposals doc. I thought we linked it. Let's see here. No, let's try over here.
Thank you.
So here's all the budget proposals. Here we go. All right. So we're immediately considering main buddy team Teresa, Joyce, and Eileen. We can look at their buddy team proposal, but the proposal is to include it in the current budget. So this would be basically a half month. So if we think of the cost for the half month.
Joyce is in the budget. Sorry.
What, Teresa?
Sorry, Joyce is in the budget?
No, no one's currently in the budget from the buddy team.
Oh, okay.
So you're proposing $590 requested at 40 hours a week for the July-August budget. Wait, are we in the July-August or the June? We're in June-July. Okay, it's June-July, 590 for 40 hours. So if we do half of that, would be 590 divided by 2 is 295 for 40 hours a week. So it's $295 for 40 hours a week. So that's the proposal. And then, of course, we need to note here the annual cost is $7,080. Pretty good. We do that because it's our policy. Every time we talk about budgets, we need to talk about it in relationship to the annual budget because that's the actual budget. The month goes by really fast.
Okay.
So, any questions about the proposal? So, basically, what does this mean? It would mean that that Teresa, Joyce, and Aline could start working immediately and would be on 2 weeks' notice for the end of the month for the new month. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
All right. So,
Mm-hmm.
any questions about the proposal? So So you would immediately be able to start working, but you would also be on 2 weeks notice because we don't know if you're going to fit in the next month's budget yet, but that's a separate decision. Any other questions about the proposal? All right, any concerns? For me, the only concern would be that technically, this is over the existing budget. So that's always a concern. But at least it's only $300. Any other concerns or questions about the proposal?
Can you explain a little more about the technical regarding to the existing budget? Because you are saying that so it's more, the budget is higher because we are 3. Is that?
No, let's go ahead and link the current budget to take a look. So it's certainly good to look at the budget while we're changing it. So if I click on, yeah. All right, so here's the current budget, is the main buddy team's ranked budget for the 116-degree west moon month, which is June, July. So let's go ahead and link that here. And if you look at the budget, basically what we have here is that we can start with our income. So our actual income comes from the client work that we did the month before. So we had $886 of income, right? So anything above $886 is in the red, all right? So if you look at our budget and we look at the budget that was approved, we basically passed option 2, I believe. Does anyone have the link to the actual past budget? The actual.
I think it was option 2. Let me know.
Yeah, we need to do better. Like, let's note this as a responsibility. We need to create a final budget doc for each moon month's budget. All right, so like that needs to be done. So the budget needs to be on a doc when we actually finalize the budget. So you just copy the final budget proposal onto the doc so that we know what gets approved. Okay, so either way, you can pretty much see that these are we cut Abdul and Shagimi from the budget, we cut Joyce and Aline from the budget, and we cut Mahidi, Mamoon, Steve and Evelyn, Asif and Mazi, Melinda and Mel. So we cut a lot of people. We basically cut like 10 people from the budget. It was pretty ruthless.
They're working more, because they're working more hours that it was supposed to?
Well, no, just because they didn't fit in the budget. So the total budget added up to about $2,700. All right, and so we had $886 and we spent $2,700. So we were in the red by about $1,800, which is pretty much the same as this month. So the point is, this is all basically free money that basically I'm giving from my personal pay to pay other people, and very little work is getting done. Right? Does that make sense? So I mean, even for you, Teresa, you were working here for a couple months that we were paying you. I mean, I don't know if you did any output or any specific work, but people need to step it up and actually do client work and bring in money for the organization and actually balance the budget. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So basically anything above tier 2 is money that is just not existing, right? So adding you to the budget at this new amount of 200, what is it? Someone took it out. Anyways, it's half of, it's like $300 for the next 2 weeks would be above our current budget, and we don't have we don't have the income to cover it, so it's still in the red. It increases our red. Does that make sense? Yes.
And if we reduce like the hours per week, because I'm not working 40 hours.
No, this is all 3 of you together working 40 hours. So your main buddy team is 40 hours for all 3 of you, Joyce, Aline, and Teresa
yes.
together.
Okay, combine it. Okay.
Combined, yeah, it's the combined proposal. If you don't work the full number of hours, it's perfectly fine. You know, it will roll over to the next new month. So technically speaking, again, this would be a technicality. Technically speaking, this money would be borrowed from next month's budget to stay balanced. Okay, does that make sense? But we're not going to worry too much about it because, you know, not everybody's working. The budget's going to, you know, it comes in and out. But if everybody worked and everybody got paid their full amounts, this money would have to be borrowed from next month. And next month we would start with $300 less than we would otherwise because the money has to come from somewhere. We can't just magically make money appear out of nothing. Okay?
1 minute left.
Cool. Any other questions or concerns? Okay, so let's go ahead and vote. So Silu, Albina, Joy, Jay, and we can vote a number, Wahoo, and then we also have Maricel here. Did I miss anyone? I'm gonna vote yes, and I'm gonna vote like a 7. Zilu is an 8. Zilu, you wanna vote? Albina?
Yeah, number 8. Yes.
Albina? Albina, are you going to vote?
Yes, 7.5. Yes, 7.5. I did.
Great. We always vote by voice. I just want to make sure people understand it's great to write it, but we also say it by voice. That's just our policy. Zilu?
Time is up.
Oh, yeah, time. Thank you. Wahoo and Marcel, you can also vote. Oh, yeah, Teresa. Yeah, you can vote too, Teresa.
7.5.
7.5. Wahoo and Marcel, Maricel, would you like to vote?
Yes, 8.
Yes, 8. Wahoo votes a yes, 8. Maricel?
8. Yes, 8.
Oh, that was Maricel. Okay, Wahoo, did you want to vote?
Yes, 8 also.
Okay. Yes, 8. All right, so we have consensus. That is excellent. So as of now, Teresa, you, Joyce, and Eileen are back in the budget, which is good. And you guys still need to, all right, let's do some next steps really quick. Next steps. So you need to do a schedule. You need to choose responsibilities from the mandatory priorities and client priorities, right? So with the client work, everybody's supposed to be working 28.5% client work. If you are not doing that, then you need to talk with somebody else and balance out. Like if you want to do internal operations work and they're willing to only do client work, you can balance out, but you need to talk with someone. Otherwise, just assume that, you know, 28% of your time is spent doing client work, okay?
What is the percentage? Sorry, I could not hear.
28.5% client work.
Okay.
So let's say you're working 10 hours a week. I don't know how many hours you're working, but let's say you're doing 10 hours a week. It would be about 2 to 3 hours per week. You should be focusing on client work. The rest of the time, you're doing training, meetings, communication, as well as internal operations, you know, finances, budget, you know, whatever else. Okay.
Okay.
So as long as we all collectively do 28.5% client work, the budget is balanced. As soon as we go below that, the budget's not balanced. We've been working on this really hard for almost like 7-8 months now, and we're just barely starting to understand how that works, but we're close. Any other next steps for Teresa? Joyce, Eileen. So Zilu, so this is going to be for Zilu, Lucy, and Albina, the co-chairs, to verify the schedules and responsibilities. Okay. Great.
So we have 5 minutes over on this topic.
Okay. Anything else related to Teresa's budget proposal? All right. So I think we're ready to move on. Okay. So
the next topic and focus.
Great. All right. So now we're going to go to the communications documentation from Wahoo and Farah and Marcel. So let's go ahead and link it. Does anyone have the link?
Well, can you please give us the link of your communication?
Okay, give me a second.
So the proposal is pretty simple. Proposal to accept the documentation and omissions from the communications, to approve, to verify. They approve and verify the documentation omissions from the communications, from the private communications, that it meets our policy. Okay, so bottom line, that's the proposal. Just to give a little understanding of the background, so this is we call the situation / background. Basically, there was private communications. The communications were deleted, and the document is what is left of the information that was turned over after omissions were made. So our policy is that all communications, personal or otherwise, are public and publicly accountable and transparent, and need to be turned over. All right, so obviously we want to respect people's privacy, and because this was a first time, and Wahoo and Marcel and them didn't really know about the policy, they turned over the communications they felt comfortable with, and then they here we go, this is the document. And then they basically had to learn, and then now they're going to do what they can do for the documentation. So I think that's pretty clear as far as the situation, the proposal. It's not perfect, but the co-chairs discussed it, and although no one was ready to vote on it and approve it, we were at least willing to get the information, the documentations, and consider it. So now we're here to have a discussion about anything related to the situation, and then also vote on it. So is there anything before we go into the proposal anyone wants to say or comment?
One question. This is related with the individual communications, right?
Yes.
Okay. I know that happened with me and Eileen. So okay.
But the difference between you and Eileen and other people is that you copied and pasted and turned over all your communications. In this situation, there was omissions and there was problems that, basically they didn't want to turn over their communications. And it's understandable, but it was just difficult, right? So typically all the communications would be turned over. If there was sensitive information that really shouldn't be made public, the co-chairs would decide to withhold it as opposed to the individual. But either way, it was the first time. And so we're trying to be flexible and work within the guidelines of the policy, which, you know, we'll discuss this when we vote. You know, my personal opinion is that, you know, it's okay, but, you know, some people have other opinions. So is there anything anyone wants to say before we go into the proposal? Okay, so let's go into the proposal. Proposal is to approve and verify the documentation and the missions from the private communication that it meets their policy. And here you have Wahoo's communications doc and Wahoo Marcel communications. There might be another document, but that is the beginning of it. So it's linked here. The obvious task is to add to our communications doc. So questions about the proposal? Are there any questions about the proposal? None. Okay. Are there any concerns about the proposal? So, I mean, I've heard a few concerns. I think I would summarize them by basically like, you know, concerns would be like that all of the communication should have been turned over without omissions and with the, I think we do have dates now. So I think that looks good. I think that's the only concern. I think the only other thing that really relates is that, you know, there are also potential communication and other issues that are related but not part of the proposal. Any other concerns anyone can think about? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and vote. Who wants to start voting? Let's just grab everybody from here. Zelia, do you want to vote? I'm gonna vote like a I'm certainly not super duper excited about it. I'm a 6.7. 5.
I'm on 6.
Zelia's a 6. Albina, Teresa, Marcel, Wahoo.
For me, it's a 6.5.
6.5. Albina.
Sorry, I was on mute. 6.
Albina's a 6.
2 minutes left in this topic.
Wahoo, Marcel.
8.
Wahoo's a 8. Marcel.
8. 8 for me.
8. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Six plus 7. Wait, no. 6 plus 6 plus 6.75 plus 6.5 plus 8 plus 8 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 6.875 is the average. So that is nip and tuck. So that was what we call a barely passes. So anything at 6.4999 does not pass, and a 6.50 and up barely passes. A yes vote is a 7 and above. So this is under a 7, so it's not a yes vote, but it also is not a no vote. And it's also not an abstain, right? So it does average up to a 7. So are there any questions or concerns about about moving forward with this? Okay, so I think we're fine here. The next steps are obviously that it would go to the online voting forum, and we'll see if there's any issues that come up there. So people who aren't here should also be allowed to vote. But overall, I mean, I think that what I'm seeing here is that we do want to move on. It's definitely not perfect, but what are we going to do? So, but we want to acknowledge all parties involved, which includes Wahoo and Marcel, who would love to move on. So let's go ahead and it's good. It's very important to note that a 6 isn't a no, it's an abstain, it's an abstention. So it's a neutral. Nobody is voting against or anti. So overall, I think we're okay moving forward. The other next step is to move forward with updating the main buddy team doc for Wahoo.
Time is up for this topic.
All right, thanks, Steve. Any other next steps or questions about moving forward and where this is going to go?
No, I don't have.
All right. So I think that's it. Any questions, Wahoo or Marcel? Are you guys good?
I have no questions.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to move on with the rest of our agenda. Does anyone have any concerns? Like technically, Wahoo and Marcel would be on hard stop until they get their main buddy team doc completed. But I don't. Does anyone object to them staying? Any concerns there? All right. So
I have a problem for communication.
Okay. Thank you, Zilu. You can note that it was Zilu, so that we can give you points. All right. So yeah, Wahoo and Marcel, you can feel free to stay here and learn with us for our full moon session, and just remember to track all your hours. All right. So next topic is the methods. I think we can do this a lot quicker. I think we do it 5 to 10 minutes instead of 10 to 15. So for me, all I really care about is just always repeating our methods. We have our organizing method. We've got our communications method. There's lots of other methods, but if we could just double check these ones, we could also go over our responsibility organizing process. So does anyone who wants to do one of these? Organizing method, communications method, responsibly organizing process. Who wants to give a quick sentence or summary explaining one or all of these? Albina, Zilu? Do you guys want to give a shot at the organizing method or communications method?
Yeah, we have methods listed on the method doc. Methodology proposal there.
Okay, so go and grab it and explain it to us. If you know where it is, explain it to us. The organizing method. Do you know it, Zilu?
Thank you,
Albina, do you want to try it? Or the
Maybe
communications method? The communications method. Okay, let's do the communications method.
Okay, communication method. This is all about that. All our communications must be transparent and in a group. No private communication is allowed. And when you are working on a certain task, you must communicate at the beginning of that task. And if you have a question on the task you don't understand, you have to ask in the group. And towards the end of that task, you have to communicate whether you accomplished or not and where you've reached on that task, so that when the second party comes to work on it, they should not repeat on the same things you did. They are aware of what you did.
Great, I love it. So you gave a lot of details here. You also went into some policies. Not all of this is methodology. Some of it's policy, which is okay. But let me just do a quick rehash. At the beginning of the session, you tell everybody what you're working on, right? If you don't understand something during your session, you ask a question immediately. You don't wait. And then at the end of the session, you explain what you did and then make sure everyone knows what still needs to be done. All right, so let's go ahead and write that down really simply. All right, at the beginning, tell people what you're working on. Right? When you have questions, ask them immediately and communicate with the group. And then at the end, tell everyone what you worked on and what still needs to be done. Okay, so there's one other part of the communications methodology. Can you think of that, Albina? There's the one part. There's one last little part about the frequency of communications.
Always.
Always. So what does that mean?
Every time you want to do something, you have to communicate. It doesn't matter the frequency. It can be daily, hourly, or after every minute. As long as you have something you want to raise, you just have to communicate.
Yeah, so basically the bottom line is the more communication, the better. Right? So if you're active, you know, it's like communicate with us 5 times a day, 10 times a day. The more, the better. Lots and lots of communications. Lots and lots of communication. So what we want is we want lots of short, small communications. Right? We don't want to wait, you know, long periods of time. Great, thank you, Albina. That was perfect. Any questions about the communications method? No, okay, that was perfect then. Awesome. All right, so and obviously we do most of our communications on Skype, but you can email. Email works really good, especially when you're on the other side of the world, so that we can communicate. All right.
There is a specific email for communication.
Yes, there's UnityNetGlobal@gmail. That's an email I check a lot. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to have email groups, right? So we have email groups that we haven't really set up yet because we're way behind on our communication setup. So this is another responsibility: communication setup and the email group setup. Okay.
Okay.
So hopefully we can get someone working on that.
Okay.
But eventually we'll have email groups for various different communications that you can use, just like our Skype groups. Okay, so how are we doing on time, Zulu?
It's 6 minutes gone.
All right, so we have 4 more minutes, so I think we could do one more. So we could either do the organizing method or we could do the responsibility organizing process. Zila, do you want to do a quick summary of one of them?
So we are on responsibility organizing process. I will summarize a little.
Okay.
Whenever we have a responsibility, we need to organize we must have a link here and organize with the related informations there, so that the new people, whenever come to on this responsibility, they will find out all the informations in a doc within the responsibility.
Great.
And
does anyone have a question about that or want to paraphrase it even more? So I would say that basically that is 100% correct. The only things I would emphasize is the link, right? Every single responsibility has a link. If you are told to choose a responsibility and you can't find the link, that's the first thing you ask for. Where is the link? The second thing you do is if there is no link, you create one. You don't know how to create a link, you ask how to create it. Right? Or you watch the video for the responsibility organizing. So the responsibility organizing is one of the most important components. We're really bad at doing it. The vast majority of our responsibilities are not organized. The link will take you to a text document. If someone gives you a spreadsheet, they're wrong. It is always a text document. It will list the goal of the responsibility, what you're supposed to accomplish, the output of the responsibility, and then the steps, step 1, step 2, step 3 of how to accomplish the responsibility, and then with links to videos, trainings about the responsibility, spreadsheets, anything else you need to know to complete the responsibility. A lot of responsibilities you're going to get, especially at this early stage in the organization, in the network, is they're just not going to be organized. So you need to help organize the responsibility, you know, put the steps together, make sure all the links are there, and ask for help. Okay, everyone understand?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Cool. And I wish someone was taking notes for that part, but that's fine. All right, so let's go ahead and index this information. Any last questions about responsibility, organizing, or communications? Or communication methods. All right, I think we're ready to move on. So we're gonna skip the organizing method for now. Maybe at the next session we'll review it again, but we're just gonna continually review our methods over and over and over again until we're a functional organization and a functional network, because right now we are not particularly functional. All right, so I think we're going on to the mandatory priorities. Zilu?
Time's up on the topic, and we are going to for
Okay.
the next topic, the 30-second scripts.
Yeah, also I noticed that we missed the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and work on the mandatory priorities, and then I believe we're gonna go into the budget. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All righty. Cool. Really quickly, I wanted to cover one last thing with our methods, which is how we categorize, and label work. So we have a lot of different other details here, but let's just at least get the basics. So we have tasks. There are millions of tasks. Then we've got responsibilities. There are thousands of responsibilities. The responsibilities are the primary model of the work that we do. Is we give people responsibilities. When you're responsible for something, you actually have to complete it. When you're assigned a task, you're not responsible for it. You just are doing some work, but someone else is responsible for it. Then you have projects. There are hundreds of projects. Yeah. I think actually there's one more thing. I think there's dozens of projects. Dozens of projects and hundreds of positions. So you have hundreds of positions. Positions will, oversee projects and management. And then the projects are, groupings of, usually 20 to, or let's just say 10 to like 50 responsibilities. Okay, that's more or less how we categorize and organize and label the work that we do. We have projects that are these umbrellas of many, many responsibilities. We've got positions that oversee various responsibilities. Now we have thousands of responsibilities. There's lots and lots of them and millions of tasks. We just don't do tasks, right? There are way too many tasks to train someone on how to do a task, right? You learn the responsibility and you figure the tasks out on your own. All right. Oh, eventually we'll be getting more granular and working on the tasks and actually organizing the tasks so that when we get volunteers and we go public, right, we can give people and assign volunteers and assign people tasks. But right now we just don't have the ability to do that. All right, so someone could link the mandatory priorities.
Yeah, I will.
Are there any questions about how we organize our work?
So I'm back.
Oh, and we do have symbols for our work. So that's a responsibility. And we make responsibilities are this tan color. Tasks are like a little box like that. And tasks are always yellow. Positions, I think we just like position like that. And positions we make bright pink. And then projects, we give a little paragraph symbol. And projects are bright blue. Okay, so we color code all of our task responsibilities, positions, and projects. And those are the colors and those are the different symbols that we use for them. All right, so let's go on to the mandatory priorities. So are there any questions about mandatory priorities? I think one of the key things that we want to do is we want to separate the client work. So we want to make create a new doc and spreadsheet for priority client work. So that's another task. We're not like the client work is still a mandatory priority, but the thing is that client work we need to separate out from the rest of the work. So a lot of the client work is still tied to virtual assistant work. But there's a lot of it that can be done by individuals. Obviously, our taxes are super key. Our budget, we're actually doing really good on the budget. In the invoicing, we're getting better. The personnel support could use a little work. Legion member services, this is new client work, which is going to relate to recruitment and also team equity. And we're going to make that client work. Main session prep and support, it's kind of what we're doing now. And preparing for like the Earth session. Also the Mars session is the big one. The Mars session is the most important one. It's in September. And that's going to be the membership sessions. We don't want to miss that. Accountability, reporting, Plasmo. This basically is like, you know, I mean, I basically would just put this up here for now. Let's put this under except for Lucy and Albina. All right, I think that's pretty much it. Sponsorship client work, Lucy and Albina are working on this as well, but lots of other people could work on the sponsorship. It's not too hard. Management coordination, there's lots of management to be done, including managing all our mandatory priorities. Who's working on what? When is it supposed to be done by? You know, double checking with everyone, making sure they're getting the work done. Also, with the management coordination, I've pretty much decided that I am super supportive of creating, and this would be a responsibility, Google Calendar reminders. I think that it's an easy, simple way to build a reminder system on people's, so maybe Zilu could help with this. We want to create a new Google Calendar. Sure. Basically would label it, you know, responsibility calendar, right? Responsibility or work responsibility calendar or whatever. And then we would be creating events to remind us to do work. So for example, like co-chair elections reminder. So it would be like once every 2 weeks. And so then would automatically send them a reminder out from the Google Calendar to vote on the co-chair elections every 2 weeks. Okay? So we're going to start automating. So this would be basically automating our task and responsibility reminders. Okay, and I think that'll be a very easy way to do that, and it'll work more effectively than there's at least 3 or 4 other models I was using, but I think that's going to be the easiest one. So unless anyone has any objections to it, I think we should just go ahead and do that for some of the management coordination that you've been helping with, Zilu. Any other?
Yes, I will.
Great, thanks. Any other questions about the mandatory priorities? The only other thing I'm going to say is that the mandatory priorities are not responsibilities. Each one of these has many, many responsibilities that are part of it. Right? All of this should be linked to the responsibility organizing and the priorities and the documents that explain all the tasks that need to get done. So there's a lot of work to get accomplished here just to even organize all of our priorities. Okay? Anything else on the mandatory priorities, or are we good?
We have 5 minutes on this topic.
I think there's only one mandatory priority that's missing. Let me double check. Yep. So we have a new client. And this is also going to be virtual assistant work. And this is the mission within. support. You can also see all of our client work on the budget, and the budget's our next topic. Any other questions on the mandatory priorities? And then we're going to go into our next month's budget.
What is the responsibilities under the mission within?
It is what we call a virtual assistant work responsibilities with me, right? So basically, you can't work on mission within unless you're working live session with me. So the responsibility is to set up a session working with Jay in real time to get the work done together.
Okay.
All right, and then there's also various management. So all the mandatory priorities have management that to oversee them. And so the co-chairs are helping with that. Zilu's helping with that. I'm helping with that. So, you know, there's a whole bunch of specific responsibilities and work that needs to get done for the mission within. Yeah. And trust me, these are just the mandatory priorities. Like once you get to the, there's like probably 10 times as many priorities that need to be addressed, but they're just not mandatory. So let's get these dealt with, and then we can expand out to the rest of the other priorities. But this is going to keep our hands full for probably a few months. Things that are really close to being mandatory priorities, but not quite mandatory priorities, are here in our potential future mandatory priorities doc. And I would add world play here, world play benches. So that is another thing that needs to be dealt with. This, I think, is done already, so let's cross that out. Okay, any other last questions for the mandatory priorities?
The badges will come on the mandatory priorities?
The what? The what?
Badges. Those priorities for the badges.
For the what? Badges?
Yes.
Badges would be part of worker coordination.
Yes.
But the badges right now is just the proposal. The proposal hasn't passed yet, so we need to get the proposal documented and organized on a doc, and then we can, you know, get it passed. And then once it's passed, then we can actually consider working on it, how that would relate to. Okay, so really the badges is only a thing for co-chairs and Centaur and myself to help coordinate the workers and the level 4 buddy teams and stuff like that. Okay. So anyways, I think I already put this as a task, right? But to create a badges doc and index all of the badges information or link it if it already exists. Okay. So that's all that needs to be done for the badges. All right, let's go back. Let's go on to the budget. Unless there's anything else for the mandatory priorities, we're ready to go on to the budget. All right, we're also at the bottom of the hour. So we're doing our bottom of the hour stretch. So everyone stand up and stretch.
Yeah, 30 minutes stretch. That's it.
Connect with the full moon, which is very exciting. Maybe a little bouncing. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go into the budget. And this is going to be next month's budget. There are a few things from this month's budget on our proposal doc. So we had Steve, Tom, and Mahidi. I don't know if anyone wants to address any of these, but Steve could use money, Tom could use money, Mahidi obviously could use money. So if we want to address any of these proposals, someone can do so. Otherwise, we're going to go on to the next month's budget, but we should still put these proposals in the voting form, whoever does the voting form. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go on to the next month's budget, which is going to be 138 degree. No. Yeah, 138 degree. So it's the July-August budget, 138 degree east moon month is next month's budget. So let's just take a few minutes here to just review and go over the budget. And I think, how long do we have left? Like 20 minutes? It'll probably be our last agenda item.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first thing that we can note here is that the new world has $475. The old world's got about $600. So this is an increase from the last month's budget where we only had $886. So we're going the right direction on the client work. So we're increasing the client work, we're increasing the income. Unfortunately, the total budget is still a negative $1,850, right? So overall, we need to be bringing in much more money. So then we have potential income. For those who don't know yet, the potential income is, these are all the client budget pools that we potentially could bring in money for. And right now it's about $3,300. This includes plasma, Legion member relations, multimedia support, mo taxes, and sponsorship. These are kind of like our long-term steady clients to support the network, right? So the funds automatically go into these budget pools, and we're making these client work. We have 2 external clients currently. We've got the Mission Within support and the RICO Law support. Then we have local government compliance and documentations. This basically is for Melinda, and you can see that over here, Melinda here. Both RICO Law and mission support are virtual assistant work, so you can see kind of like who's involved in which clients. Although this doesn't prioritize, we could add a priority column here, priorities, but I think we just do a separate priority spreadsheet for that. J support, court case support, executive JELA support, all of these we made client work because they don't really fit anywhere else, and I doubt they're going to happen if we don't have them be client work. The only thing missing here is the co-chair bonuses, but I think we're going to do that with tokens. So we're going to be doing output tokens since we're not doing upfront output anymore in bonuses. Seasonal session support, Venus session support, Earth session support. So the Earth session's coming up. I don't know if we're even going to be able to do much with that. All of the session support, all of these session support, like the focus needs to be on the Mars sessions, the most important one coming up in September. And then these are just the planning. So this is just virtual assistant work, but these ones, like we can do this. Like all people need to know is how to set up any session. And then from there, we can support all of the sessions. We could probably add like a little bit for Mercury support. There is an eclipse coming up, actually. So maybe a little bit for the eclipse as well. Okay. So any question about the potential income or actual income? No questions? All right, so let's take a look at the budget. The budget is based on tier 0, or would be volunteers. Tier 1 is the amount of money that we actually have for our income and our money stream. Tier 2 is basically the most I can give out of my pay. Tier 3 basically is coming from next month's budget. So all of it together is $2,900. What we discussed during Cobalt was that we could most likely do $2,500. So this is a vote here. It was just me and Lucy, but we voted for a $2,500 budget. The other option is like a $2,000 budget, which I'm also open for as well. So anyone can vote on these proposals. This is the actual income, is our $1,000. So if we wanted to stay within the budget that we actually have, we would have to fire a lot more people, but that would be the money that actually exists. Everything above the 1,069 is basically like we're losing money, right? Which is why it's so important to do the client work, and it's 28.5% client work. As long as we stick to 28.5% client work, the budget will be balanced. So are there any questions, or does anyone want to vote on the options for our budget? So this would basically be borrowing $500 from next month's budget. We already are borrowing $300. So that would be a total of $800. I know we're borrowing $300 from this month. Yeah, so let's cut that out. So we are borrowing $300 from this month. So that would potentially equal to $300. So we have to think about that. Anyways, I'm not going to worry about it primarily because I don't think we're spending the entire budget anyways. All right, so here are the budget options. Option number 1 is no reductions. With no reductions, in order to meet this budget, we have to cut Lucy and Joseph. Any questions on option numero uno? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yes. All right, so I'm assuming there's no questions on option 2. Is there? Option number 2 is with reductions. So by reducing people's budgets, we're able to fit in Lucy and Joseph. You'll see here that Teresa, Joyce, and Aline are still higher than everyone else and actually rank the lowest. And that is because they can't reduce their budget. Their budget is fixed. So their lowest is the same as their requested. And they're the only ones to do that. Option number 3 cuts Teresa, Joyce, and Aline from the budget. And this is why they're on 2-week notice. And that would be a $2,000 budget. And that would give us a little more flexibility to figure out, other options. Okay, so those are the 3 budgets that we came up with today during Cobalt. So our options would be either to vote on them now and try to narrow it down a little bit, or just to put all 3 of them out on the voting form and then narrow it down. Hopefully within a week, we'll have a clear budget proposal that can then go to the HR board and we can finalize it, and then everyone will know what the budget is for next month.
Yeah.
So that's the goal for the budget.
So these are already on the voting on the forum, and we was voted on that.
No, these are brand new from today. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are brand new from today.
Yeah.
But they're definitely similar. They're similar, but there's definitely major differences. One difference is the Marcel, Wahoo, and Farah, their proposals now completed. Also, there's the Teresa, Joyce, and Aline is a brand new buddy team that didn't exist before. And we have slightly different amounts between the 2,000, 2,500, and 2,300. Are there any other questions about the budget options? Okay, so I think overall it's just we're just ready to. Oh yeah, thanks for putting the years. I always forget that. Yeah. Technically speaking, we're supposed to put the years here as well. I just always forget. We're still trying to get that policy all set up. All right, I think we're pretty much done. Do you guys want to vote on these real quick, or do you want to just go on?
We can do a rough voting, then we put on the form.
Okay, so let's just go for a quick vote that we can let people know kind of the direction that we're going. You can vote for as many options as you want. And also, if there's any other option anyone can think of, now would be the time to suggest an alternative option to these 3 options. Okay.
I vote option 2 and 3.
All right, so we have Albina's voting for option 2 and option 3.
Yeah.
I'm on option 2.
Zila's voting option 2.
Wahoo.
I'm going to vote for option 2 as well. Wahoo, Marcel, Teresa, you guys want to vote on the budget options?
I will vote
2 and 3.
Wahoo, say again.
2 and 3.
Okay, so Wahoo's going to vote for option 2 and option 3. Teresa?
Option 2. And let me see the others. Option 2. Okay.
All right, then. I think that's all of it. So obviously we can see here that we like option number 2. So there's a very good chance that option number 2 is going to pass. Let's quickly do oh no. So I just want to add a column here for the annual. We're still forgetting to do the annual, so we might as well do it real quick. All right, here we go. Oh, so that's option 2 for the annual for option 2. All right, so I think that is pretty much it on the budget. So, I mean, obviously option number 2 would be what the global core team is suggesting, okay? So, I mean, in my mind, as long as we all like this, once the budget is passed, everybody who is currently on 2 weeks notice, if option 2 passes, would no longer be on 2 weeks notice. Obviously, there's a couple problems with the proposal that we might need to consider. So issues with the proposal. So for one, we need to potentially subtract the $300. Also, if we want to pay Steve, Tom, or Mahidi, this would also need to be subtracted. All right, that makes sense?
Yeah.
But I think overall the budget looks pretty good. So as soon as it's passed, like we can get rid of the 2 week notice for everybody. Although Marcel, Wahoo, and Farah, you guys are still on hard stop because your main buddy team and pops have not been verified yet. All right, so I think that is it.
We were supposed to wrap up on 11:45 a.m.
Yeah, well, I think we're almost done.
Excuse me, Jay.
Yeah.
So when we will gonna know about about the decision of our documents?
Well, we voted on it earlier today, or earlier in this meeting. So this was the second proposal, and it barely passed. So under our policies, that it is a pass. I mean, it did pass, and so it was approved. So now the next step was that you guys should move forward with your main buddy team doc, and get your guys' main buddy team all, your doc all organized and meeting the criteria and asking questions about anything you need to do to get that set up. And we also have
schedule also.
No, not doing scheduling until after they do their main buddy team doc.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the following criteria.
Yeah, with the criteria. And then we also have the new, there's that new document I made for you guys that goes over the steps for the updated steps.
So after that, if we done that with the criteria, so we will know the decision if we are going to start working or not, like that.
The decision was already made that you're already in the budget. That's done. That happened a week ago, or even whatever. So the communications was just a hard stop on the communications issue. So hopefully that's all resolved today. It's going to go to the vote. If there's a problem, it'll come back to the group for the quarter moon session, which will be in exactly 1 week. The co-chair meeting happens at the 8th moon, which is the midweek check-in. And so the co-chairs have the executive power to make any decisions in between the weekly steering teams. So that's basically the timeline. But as far as this meeting is concerned, and at least for the next 3 to 4 days until the co-chair meeting at the 8th moon, you guys have been approved in the budget. You've been approved for communications document, barely passed today. And so therefore you are still on hard stop because of your main buddy team criteria. Once you have the criteria done, you'll no longer be on hard stop, and then you would start your onboarding process. And then you would want to start watching all the training videos, and then you're going to start choosing your responsibilities and getting your schedule set up.
Yes.
Okay. Does that make sense? And so that can all happen in the next 3 days. You guys can do all of that.
Okay.
But the first step you have to do is meet the criteria for your main buddy team proposal doc, right? So that in your pop, right? Your whatever it's called, the personal online profile. Yeah. So let's see. So this would be stage 4, and it's not linked here either. Where do I get that link?
So we were gonna do the with the criteria. That's what our focus on right now.
Yes, the criteria for your main buddy team doc. Yes.
Okay,
so here it is. So this is called called the detailed intake main buddy team and pop criteria process. So let me go ahead and link this to our notes here. And this is the new doc that I made. So boom, 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 boom. And then we'll also link it to your Skype, to the Skype group, so that it's right there. Oops. There's Skype. New World hard stop. Okay, so this is main buddy team pop detailed criteria. Oh my god, my computer is not happy one bit either. So just to remind you, under our policies, that our vote that we took today is an approved vote. It passed, the proposal passed, your communications are approved, but it's going to be reviewed, right? The co-chairs can review it, and it's going to go out on the voting form. So if we create a voting form, once it goes out on the voting form, if everyone votes against it and are like, we have major concerns, then it will come back to the steering team, which is the quarter moon session, which is exactly 1 week. Okay, and then obviously we'll notify you if that happens. You as well as everyone else can vote on that voting form. All right, so the probability that the voting form will come back as a no when the 5 of us voted yes is low. But it's possible. Because it's so close, it could come back. If it does come back and it's, goes the other direction, then we will review it again as needed and just keep going back. Our goal is always consensus. So barely passing is not the goal. The goal is consensus. So, but it is better to barely pass than to not pass at all. So I think you guys are in pretty good shape. Let's move on. Are there any other questions from you, Marcel or Wahoo?
No, for me, it's not, I have no question anymore. Maybe Wahoo?
It is okay. Marcel, go ahead.
No, I have no questions anymore. It's clear.
I have a question.
Yes, Wahoo?
I have a question. So are we still inactive, like Kellen Farrell?
So you guys are on what's called hard stop. So you're in the budget, which means you're actively in the budget. Every hour you guys work, you should be tracking all your hours, and you put them on your work report, and you're paid. So everything that you do, you're paid. But you're also on hard stop, which means you're not allowed to do anything that's outside of the hard stop, which means you can only work on your main buddy team proposal. If I was working on your main buddy team proposal, it would probably take me like an hour to meet the criteria, right? You guys, maybe it'll take you 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. But the point is that you could do it in less than a day, especially if you ask questions and you have anything comes up and you have a question about something, you just ask us and we will help you. But you have to do that. Once you complete your main buddy team proposal, then you go into what's called the onboarding. Under this detailed intake, there should be a link to the steps. I should probably just link it here. Oh boy, what I do? All right, here it is. So we have the recruitment stages and steps. Like these are the actual stages of the recruitment system. So I can, link this at the top of that document. And this is good for everybody who's involved in recruitment to, review and check out. But basically, you guys, so I'll quickly review this for everybody because it's helpful. There's, I believe, like 6 or 7 stages to recruitment. Stage 1 is clicking on the post and communicating either via Upwork, Outsourcely, or email, or Facebook, or whatever. And that's just basically learning about our options and opportunities. And then you click in step 2 is actually filling out the intake form. So not everybody who reads our posts actually fills out the intake form, so that's the next stage. So stage 2 is filling out the intake form. There's a whole bunch of details about after you take out the intake form, how it gets organized, etc. The people who pass the intake form are invited to stage 3. So this is obviously a very, very limited number of people get invited to stage 3. Stage 3 involves creating your main buddy team and your combined buddy team proposal, and then your online personnel profiles. You guys have already completed stage 3. So now you guys are on stage 4. Stage 4 is what's called and stage 3 is the last part that's unpaid. Once you complete your main buddy team proposal, then it goes to the HR board for approval. If it's approved, then you're a paid worker, right? So after stage 3, you're paid. So everything stage 4 and onward, you're paid hourly based on your approved budget proposal. So stage 4 is where you guys are currently. So stage 4 is your detailed POP and main buddy P doc updating. So you need to update this. And I might as well just add this here so that it's there. Boom, boom, boom. After you complete that, which shouldn't take too long, then you go on to stage 5, which is going over your main doc and your initial onboarding. This will include all your availability and moving towards your scheduling, and then watching. You want to start start watching the top. Oh, no, that's stage 6. Yeah. So this is your initial onboarding, and then stage 6 is your initial training, which is watching the top videos for the training, and then stage 7 is choosing responsibilities and then learning how to do the work. Okay, of your responsibilities. Okay. So you guys are in stage 4 right now. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. But you're making progress, and and as you learn this, you'll be able to help new people. You know, being here for a few weeks compared to a new person who's just started, it's like day and night. You know. All right. Any other questions on the recruitment stages or the detailed intake for the main buddy team and POP criteria?
No.
Okay, so we are expecting you guys to have questions. If you have a question, just ask us on the Skype, jump on the Hangout. You know, like we're all your friends, like Lucy, Albina, Zilu, Teresa, everybody's here to help each other, okay? All right, I think that looks good. So let's see, any other questions?
I have no questions.
Okay. Any other next steps for the meeting?
No.
Any other responsibilities anyone or tasks anyone has questions about?
No.
Okay, so typically if we were really organized, we would be doing evaluations. And we go over our end of session, including our session verification spreadsheet. I would love it if someone could do session value tracking, because we are going to start issuing our session credits. And I think that's it. And in like 4 or 5 hours exactly 5 hours from now is the Zuri, the dynamic session, which is the old world session. If you could get your stuff verified, you could go to that Wahoo. But Marcel, you are a New World worker. Teresa, you're also a New World worker for now. Okay. So you guys wouldn't attend the dynamic session, but Wahoo can attend the dynamic session after she finishes her main buddy team proposal. Zilu, you're also a global worker as well as Albina. All right. So any other questions before we do our checkouts on anything? Any other questions?
So I have only one question. So for example, I need to wait for the co-chairs to vote on our budget proposal, and then we can start with the schedule and choose the responsibilities?
No. So we just voted on your budget proposal. It passed by consensus with the average vote of 7.66. So it's passed. You're in the budget. We're working on getting you into next month's budget as well. So that's a done deal. So the next steps for you are your schedule. So you need to get your schedule set up and updated with no responsibilities, right? No responsibilities is equal to 2 sessions per week. So you can schedule 2 sessions. That would be 1 session, like a main session, and then the other session could be any session. That basically opens up to you, obviously, Cobalt. We used to have Sonic sessions, so you might be able to schedule another Sonic time with either Albina or Lucy. And then there's also Andromeda sessions. So those are all currently open to you to schedule, and you just schedule 2 sessions per week. After you choose your responsibilities, you can schedule 3 sessions per week. Once you learn your responsibility, at least 1 responsibility, then you can schedule 4 sessions per week. You know, and then once you are learning your responsibilities and we assign them as self-driven tasks, you can do them anytime you want to. Okay?
Okay.
But right now you have no responsibilities and you have no schedule. which means you're basically on hard stop. So you need to schedule, you need to talk with Zilu, Albina, Lucy. You need to finalize your schedule. You need to add your schedule to the new world schedule, right? It's a spreadsheet so that we know when we're expecting you to show up.
Okay, so I need to talk with them or chat on the Slack group to see when I can join.
Exactly. So let us know your availability. You just need to choose 2 sessions per week. But your budget proposal passed. We approved it today. You're in the budget. You're approved. So now your next step is scheduling.
And another thing, should I inform Eileen and Joyce? Because I don't know if I think they don't know about this that we are doing now. So
yes.
Should I inform them that our budget was approved?
Yes. Yeah, let them know the budget approved. Also, Zilu, Albina, Lucy will also inform them as well. Let's go ahead and add it to our priority tasks here. So notify Eileen and Joyce that they were approved in the budget. And this would be, Zilu and Albina and Teresa. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also we have the voting forms. I don't know if anyone wants to take that on as a task, but it's very important. I think we want to do 2 forms. One is just the normal, full moon voting form. And then since we do have the HR, like we do the HR board voting form, I mean, I would say that our budget is pretty much ready to go, right? Like we voted on it, it passed. We seem to all like option 2. So we want to pick option 2 for the HR board voting form along with other budget votes. Okay.
Yeah, I'll work on them later.
Any other questions?
No.
All right. Thank you. Let's go ahead and check out. So let's go, Teresa. So you're gonna give the session a score from 0 to 9, and then you're gonna tell us your priorities for until the next session, like what you're gonna be working on between now and the next session. All right, Teresa, do you wanna start?
Check out. For me, it's an 8. It was a good session, and thank you for accept our main budget team again, new in this case. And my next steps will be like to see like what will be my new schedule and inform Albina, Zilu, and Lucy. And then according to the schedule, start what I can do. But for now, it's only to step like a new schedule.
Yes, and then you're also going to want to start choosing responsibilities from the mandatory priorities. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Cool. And then also remember to document all your work, including this session. You want to put that in your work report.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Teresa. Wahoo. So we're just checking out Wahoo. So you give a score for the session to evaluate the session, and then you say what you're going to be working on between now and the next session.
For me, it is a 9. I actually learn a lot. And I'll be working on a MBT until further notice. That is until you give me green light.
Great. Cool. I think that sounds good. Yeah. So yeah, just let us know if you have any questions on your main buddy team proposal. Marcel, you want to check out?
For me, it's an 8. And then we're gonna review our proposal, and then we're working out about the MBT criteria process. That's all.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Marcel. Albina.
The session was good. I give it a 7. And thank you, Maricel and Wahoo, for showing up. And Teresa, also welcome back. I'll be focusing on HR board voting forms and session proposal forms, system and processes, policies, and sponsorship program. And I'll do value tracking later.
Wow. Great. If you do the value tracking, let me know, and I'll set up the session credits and we can start issuing them. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Zilu.
He left.
Oh, he left.
He left like 10 minutes ago.
All right. Okay, I'll check out. I would give the session like a 7.75. Obviously, I'm very tired and ready to go to bed. I always enjoy the full moon, so it's really good for doing the check-in on the full moon. It's like the midweek, the mid-month. I guess the only thing that we really missed was we didn't review our monthly goals. I think one of the reasons that happened is because we didn't actually create our monthly goals at the beginning of the month. Because we had problems with our prioritization spreadsheet. I will be working on a lot, especially the mission within. There should be a meeting tomorrow, and all the work there. Also, I'm working on all the methods and processes, recruitment, the finances, taxes, budgets, as well as the EXA. VZ mesh and the token allocation, as well as the FQN, economic and finances, budget and tokens, all that. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So, but yeah, things are going the right direction. We're out of the budget crisis. So thanks everyone for being here. And I think that's it. Any last comment? Marcel says she's a very shy person. Well, we're all shy in our own ways, so don't worry. We're here to support each other. All right, let's go ahead and be done. See you guys all soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.